welcome to my live. Here we go. Every day is different. Every life is different. What are we going to do today? Well, I am cutting out these tiny little pieces here, and I'm bending stuff with my little plier set. And all I'm trying to do is just bend this in half right here. Just a little bend in half. And that way, when I add the glue, I can add these little trim pieces that I pre-cut out and also bent. Sure hope I sanded it. All right, and that will be my edge cover. And the edge cover is actually a pretty smart little idea there. It just adds another element of design. Now, I've just been racking my brain about how I'm going to build this because I've come across a few issues. And it's that top building, it's that top section. That issue I've come across is, it's literally built like, I should draw this out. The top is, it's the tools here. The top is like this. This is the front with the signage, okay? Front. The back is like this. Okay, here's the looking down the pyramid. So we're coming down the pyramid. I know. So we're looking down this way. So as you can see here, we have this front section, and visually this front section is the same with this one. And this is why I kept having an issue, is everything from here to here was the same, but the sizes are different. So that means, what that means is, I'm building out the front section here, and you can see the size of that, and I'm building out the back section, and when you put them together, they're about the same size. So that means I have to alter this front section and make it smaller to go with it. So then realizing also their heights are different. So let's go with the pictures real quick. Pictures. And so here we have our first section. Now, according to all of my other pictures, from here to here, I'm going to call that 10 feet. I'm calling it 10 feet. That's for my own. So this looks 10 feet, that looks 10 feet, 10 feet. But we have this upper section up here. That's where it comes in. The first front section is higher than this section, okay? So we have a little, I don't know, little piece on top of here. Now, when you look at these, they don't make any sense. Especially this picture. This makes the least amount of sense, too. This looks like a design over the front door, when actually it's just this top section. This top section here, and it's busted. It's broken. Like, what, the comet hit it or something, a meteor break it out right there. So that's where our damage is. We've got damage right there, which is great, good times. But now we have to decide about all this other stuff, because it all takes it out of perspective. So what I've built for now is what I'm going to think is the top part of the Dusk Till Dawn diorama. And so I'm just looking at it, and I'm going to just let that sit for a while and think about it. I'll probably start working on it tonight. There's a lot of little things I did. This stuff is all being covered, so it doesn't matter if it's not exact. So what I'm doing here, I say it doesn't matter. Some things it doesn't matter. So what I did here is I gave this angle. That's what I did, is I cut these angles away at the height that I believed it was at. When I put my cardboard, it will be exact, but we need a foam base to work off. So then I have this little area of flat land before I get to this top section here. So my top section should probably be a little smaller. And then according to the other pictures, this comes over this top section. It doesn't jive, is what I'm saying, is like, it doesn't jive up. So I'm gonna make it jive. I'm gonna make it jive up. That's how it's gonna happen. So I'm just getting all the pieces ready. Some tools I've used. Oh, thank you, Jacob. Hello. Thank you, Kinsley. Yeah, you can do this. It just takes patience and stuff. This is what I put my joint compound in a little sandwich bag here. And what I did last night is I went around. So during my show yesterday, I showed you how I made all these little tiny caves in here, right? And so I came through and I put all those caves, I made them out of just this pop can material or the cardstock from, you know, your pop cases. And always sand the back too. It's very important to sand the back. So I bent those up, put them in there, and then I was able to use that blackest black paint. This is one of them. This is Musou, and this is the world's blackest water-based acrylic paint. And so what I've done here is put that in there so that when we put this section up, it voids it out. But first I had to use my joint compound and go around these foam and pieces and stuff and then paint that. So that's what I did yesterday. I have a little joint compound left. So I noticed that there was a spot over here that needed to be fixed. So I put some in there. Get that. What's going to happen is when all of this is finally painted, the colors it needs to be, I'm going to sand it all. Everything's going to get sand. I'm really disappointed in this sand actually, and I don't know what exactly I'm going to do about it. I feel like this sand is too big. It's not fine enough. And oops, there we go. I had a really hard time trying to find sand. In fact, I ordered some and it was this color also. So the problem is this color doesn't quite go. In fact, it looks green compared to what it needs to be. What can I do about this? Well, first, I did search for a similar sand color. So it's not like I hadn't looked for it. It makes me feel like I want to look harder. I got a 50-pound bag of this sand for $4. So it's okay if I waste that sand. I do need sand for my dioramas anyway. So that's just one of the things that I'm thinking about in this situation. Okay, so I'm going to show you a few things. I'm making the back of the diorama, I've decided I'm going to only make from this section, but I really have to like figure other things out, and especially the front, because the front will be made. I will be making the front up here, but it's not going to be as dramatic as if I was making a diorama of just the front section. If I was making a diorama, I'd have way more lighting and larger. I'd go a larger scale than what I'm going now. So you can see here in the front, we have a higher up. We have those arches right here, like these arches. But the difference is there is a piece going across these arches. Now inside here, you can't see it, but it looks like this. It's the round door inside right there. So, and then here's these side buildings I was talking about. Now, when we look back at this picture, it doesn't look like there are side buildings at first, but then you notice how it comes in right here and it goes up to there. So that's how you see. Now it's only one side building, there's not two, so I'm having to go back and forth between the pictures and decide. There's one over here too. So, and plus these look really short. Those are some of the little things I'm dealing with. And next thing here is I notice it looks like a stack of sticks or something. And oh, thanks for joining, Kinsley. And so this looks like a stack of sticks. Well, I have a lot of tiny bones from owl pellets. And so I'm going to stack those bones up. That'll look really good back here with the stacked bones. And then the next thing I'm going to do today also is I'm going to take some of this brown paint, just acrylic paint. And let me zoom back a little bit, brown paint. And I'm going to find a container and a pencil or a paintbrush and some water. Oh, I didn't add new water. Let me pour some water in. I'm going to do these things. Okay, you can see down here. Good. As long as you can see. So what I'm going to do is, take Not that much. It's not how I usually do it, but on my live show, you know, you don't have a prep person. You got to do it yourself. I'm going to put a little bit of that brown in here. And the water. We're going to water that down. So we have a nice kind of watered down flow of brown. And what I'm going to do is, and I got to make sure I have enough water, is put this in the edges, okay? And that will start to look like dirt. Let's go in. Zoop. You see right there. And that will help us with our depth. Our depth, yeah. And that will just be another element to making this look dimensional. Now, I was talking about there's many ways that you can make this diorama, but I am making this specifically for my Hot Wheels. So knowing that means I only have a certain scale and size to work with. I do a lot of Hot Wheel dioramas, and it's because I really like my Hot Wheels, and if they don't come in a package, I feel like they need their own home, so I will do that. And because of that, I like to make a lot of my diorama scales in 1/60 scale so that they all go together. And I also have a Bandon, USA town I made for my Hot Wheels, so it has many pieces to it. So it has like a hotel, gas station, a junkyard, has a lot of fun stuff like that. Hello, Raymond. I am married. Bye, Kinsley. Thanks for joining. And so I'm going to put that down. People are just trying to find dates wherever they can. All right. That will look good. Go through that. And so that Hot Wheel dioramas, I've done in 1/60 scale. Hot Wheels are, I think, traditionally supposed to be 1/54 scale. And not every car is the same. They're all going to be different. So you can tell the scale of the car by measuring the car and then looking at the measurements of the real car and then doing a little mathematical formula to compare, and that will tell you what the scale is. I keep having this problem of having to clear my throat. So today I rinsed with salt water. I don't know if that helped or not. All right, let's see. Dude, I've been married for 30 years, man. I am not. And if I was anything to happen to my husband, I would not ever get married again. I like my life. Thank you. My husband's a really cool dude, too. We are planning on doing one of the longest gravel roads on our motorcycles in Washington State. That's something that's going to be super fun for us to do. And I'm excited about that. I'm looking at getting a new helmet. I have to because I've been riding off-road for so many years. I don't really have a street helmet. And so, of course, I just went and seen what Itchy Boots got because I don't want to deal with having to figure out which helmet to get. So I'm going to get what Itchy Boots got. That's just best, the easiest. Someone else has already done all of the work and finding out something that's going to work. Then I don't have to do it. That is great because half of my life is writing and research. So you can imagine like not having to do all that research. Okay, so I'm just putting this in. Like I said, we're just adding depth, and a lot of these will go across like this, but I will probably get a different brush for that. There we go. Nice. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is put that down. So that's how I make that look more aged. So there we go. Put that there. All right, the next other thing I do is I am going to decide on how to put a pattern on here. I haven't really decided yet exactly. So what I'm going to do is just testing out different things. According to the pictures, there is a few things, but really not really much. So there is a snake around the top edge. There's a snake design. You can see across there. So I could do that. So, and then that will be lasso. I have those pieces all cut out. Those will go on the top like this when I'm done and painted, and then I will put that up here. All right, so then I have to decide on this, and then I'll have to age the areas too with some dark brown. And the more this is aged and painted, it'll look better. I only have one coat of paint on here. So go. Perfect, that looks good. And then I'm working on the top part. So I got my bone tool out. What else was I going to do today? I did add brown to the stairs. We did pretty good there. Awesome. All right, now I also have to decide on this stuff here too. This is in the back of my head. I'll cut those down and put them at an angle. Put that on there. There's a little bit more geometry involved in this part. It's not too big of a deal. And so also, so I will be gluing these down. Let me tell you what I'm doing. I'm putting these little edges on. I have them all ready to go. I used my bone tool last night. I cut, bent, and got them all straightened out. Let's go big like that. Here we go. And just take this bone tool, and I do both sides because you want these nice and strong when I put them on those edges. And some of these edges, even though that they were bent before, they were pre-bent, you can see that this still looks pretty straight. So I'm going to take my tool here and get that nice 90-degree bend in. And then when I add this little piece to it, let's see, let me see. Go like this. Add this little piece. I'm going to measure it out by holding it like this and cutting underneath section. Oh, and then I have to remember to sand this a little bit. There we go. And then I'm going to cut that away so it fits. Let's see. We're going to cut one side and look at it and then cut the other side. Yeah. And a little bit more there. And a little bit more here. And a little bit softer now. All right. And we're going to put this on. And there we go. Just going to glue that on and then add this at the angle, holding that for a second. To make your glue stick faster, if you do is you just pull it off, on, off, on, off, on. It will set it up better. And that's what I learned from the kindergarten teachers. Yeah. And that seems to work really well with these type of projects. Okay. So I still have to do that for more of these, and that will just go down. So what ends up happening is after I glue these on and glue their little top pieces down, I'm going to cover this with sand. So most of this will be completely covered in here. You won't even see it. It'll look really good. And then the cars will go along the side. So I have all the cars set out for this already here. And we've got some truck trailers. This one, see, I got the Shopco, but that's too big. I got a truck trailer, and I'm going to set these up here. So, for example, I'm going to do a stacking of cars. Now, if I was to do this smaller and I would have to buy cars for this, say, let's say HO scale, which is 1 to 48 scale. I'm doing 1 to 60 scale. If I was to do that, I would have to spend $1,000 just for the cars because they're very expensive for the HO train scale cars. I've got a motorhome too. This isn't exact. I can paint this to look like the other one, not a problem. And the idea is there will be a light at the top of this. This is a wall hanging diorama. So we got Juliette Lewis on this side And we got Selma Hayek over here on this side, but they're not done yet. I'm just working on painting them. And in the back, then this hangs on the wall. This is a maximalist design I'm working on this year, is maximalist designs of dioramas. In a sense is that this will go on the wall. So this is for people that live the maximalist lifestyle and they put a lot of things on their walls. So this is one of them. Last year I did the Willy Wonka diorama of his office, everything in half. And that also hangs on the wall. So with that concept, there will be a light that comes out of this building up against the wall, and this will be in between the light and the wall. So the shadow of this should shine up on the wall. Now, I was going to get a regular LED light set, which I have, that you could just turn on and one light will shine out. Well, I was looking at my lights yesterday online, and the problem was none of them were really going to work for this setup. So I came across these balloon lights. They're called, you get 100 of them for $10, and they're flashing multicolor. That's what I need for this, flashing multicolor. That will go with the front end of the design because there are neon lights in this, and you can't buy neon lights in miniature just yet. What I was going to do was I could have faked the neon lights, and what I would have done is, what I could do is I can make this entire sign up in wood, and then what I could do is put a piece of glass over that wood, cut the glass out so it's about similar to the design. Holding the glass over my painted wood design, I would hand paint the neon light effect. So there's neon lights around all this stuff. So if I hand painted, I could use like some whites and let's say reds or blues, and then really make it look like it's lit up neon with that glass. No one's going to see it though, because it's going towards that direction. We are only making this part. And it's good for me to talk about this, to remember that this is the goal and not this. So this still will be made. I do have motorcycles, but I don't have that many motorcycles. So I've been collecting Hot Wheel motorcycles recently, and so I have several extras, but none of them are Harleys. They're all like, you know, recent bikes. So I will take a look at my eBay account and see if I can find anything on there and there. And yeah. Also, here's all the cards that I've repurchased or purchased to go around here. I need some more box trucks, but I think I'll have those with my other stuff. I bought these, but I do have hundreds and hundreds of more other cars, but I needed some specifically for this design. So I'll go like this and like that. And then maybe I could put a car up here if I need to, or whatever. Maybe we'll go like that. I don't know. So the one thing I noticed about this, if we want to really nitpick dioramas, and that's what I end up doing, is I usually learn a lot of information about movies by making the dioramas, or by whatever I'm doing. And what you have here in the picture is box trucks and smaller semi trucks. Now, I noticed there were some that were like this. The funny thing is, when they went inside, Danny Trejo was the bartender, and he told them that they only accepted truckers and bikers. So some of these trucks are small, and I'm surprised that they would take those type of trucks. There's a whole theory I'm developing about that sentence in my head from watching this movie, so that's what happens. I've also got some more cardstock out. This is for the larger section, which I still haven't quite figured out yet. So what's going on with this is pretty much we're looking at the back. Okay, we're looking at the back. Here's a picture. Okay. And so we see the front really comes in quite a bit. Well, I only have so many inches to deal with. So I've dropped that down. Here's that front section. Well, then I have to add all of this design to now this tinier section. So it is frustrating because I think I want to just make this one big giant square like it kind of looks like here, but knowing it's not a square, that it's two squares or two rectangles or whatever, it's really frustrating, and it's put me back a few hours on this creation because I still haven't come up with the example of what I'm going to do here. So I'm just slowly piecing it together, looking at it, and then I'll come back to it later and work on it some more. And maybe every time I do it, maybe I'll have a better idea. Yeah, so pretty much left to do here is I got to come up with my designs for this. Then I have to paint them on there. That should take very long because it's acrylic paint. I'm only going to mix it up once, and that means I have to paint everything as quick as I can. The next step is to put down the tops and the sand, and then all of this here, I'm going to cover this in Mod Podge and put sand over everything. And then I will then add a layer of glue over that sand. Then I will add more sand to soak up any more glue that's excess. Now, doing that will happen, two things will happen. One is when I first put the glue down and put the sand in and all that dries, it will dry shiny like the glue. The second reason I will dump this on after is because then this won't look shiny. It'll look matte. But having those two layers, you'll also have a darkening of some of the layers. So that'll give us some more like depth and dimension when we work here. Now, like I said, I'm going to stack all the cards up to get them to work to go here. And let's just do a fake stack. So all these will be stacked up along the side in, in a cool way, not in this lame way. This train doesn't go there, but we'll come up with something and to look like they're coming down. Like that. Now also the other thing is like I was saying, I could have done this in a smaller scale. It would have looked better. I would have been able to do more, but the cards alone would have cost me a lot of money. Now I could have gone as small as the N scale cards, but the problem with that is they don't sell those in semi-trucks. You can only get the small, tiny cars, or they're extremely expensive again. So once again, the Hot Wheels win, and they'll continuously go with my other Hot Wheel dioramas. All right, I'm gonna do a little bit of working right now, because what the hey? What the hey, right? So I'm just taking this little piece here, and I'm gonna flip it over, and I'm just gonna cut that. And then that actually is already to the size it needs to be. So I'm going to take this and I'm just going to manipulate in that. There we go, like that. There we go. And let's grab some glue. Oh, sometimes you got to make sure you sand these pop can or anything shiny, even if it's a cereal box and you want to glue the part that has printed stuff on there. You have to sand it. If not, it'll pop right off. Another thing I like to do is I'm getting almost to the point where this is half full. When these get about half full, they don't come out as easily. So I will either replace it with a new one, or I'll fill up another half one, or take another half one and put them together to make a full one. And that saves my time. I mean, these are little stupid little things that I do to save my time. But I do lots of little things like that. I do. So, here we go. Here's that. And perfect. I'm not worried about the bottom because the sand will be covering all this stuff up. What I have to do with this section that I'm putting on all of these is I have to make this look like it's, let's find an example. Get some paint out. Let's get some paint out and we'll show you. I'll do a faux so you could just see. What I have to do with these corners is make them look like little blocks. So what I'll do is do like maybe a lines, but I'll maybe make them more like color across. Get that light just perfect. Oh, there's another light here too. What? What? Okay, so I will do things like that to make it look like these were specific stones. And um, these little things that you add, these little tiny details, you don't have to add them through the whole thing. It's just you add them into elements in certain areas, and then you can, it'll just come together and look good. So I don't have to do it all the way. I'm just only going to do it there. And maybe, so I was looking at this and noticed that these are giant speakers right here too. So I don't know. Maybe around each one of those designs I'll need to put something too. So maybe I should do a darker on the inside. Excuse me. I thought I would try gargling with salt water today so I wouldn't keep going. I don't think that made a difference. I feel like I'm gonna have a total coughing fit now. Excuse me. It must be that time of the year when the allergies are coming. Okay, so I don't like this color specifically, but I'm giving you an example of like, we're gonna do this part darker maybe. Actually, it's not so bad. Maybe we'll stop here. See, I also have to have these little loops in here. In your picture, there's these little loops. And I can't decide about if I want to paint those on or cut out some cardboard to put them in there or what I want to do about that. But every time I do a little detail, it's going to look better and better. Yeah, that's it. That's true. All right. Get across there. Just doing little examples. We're just going to look at it because this is what I need to do today is play around with this and see. And I got to go to the grocery store. Ugh. Gotta go into town again. Now, a couple other things I could think about doing too is maybe painting the inside edge. It's not about being a good painter, it's just knowing about where to paint. I think that's that's true when it comes to this. What I have learned about doing miniatures is people can go and buy all these different things and do everything, but basically it's if you want to recreate something, you got to put grit in it. Everything has to have grit and dirt. It have to have different layers of dimension for your eyes to follow. So having that little, just doing the inside of that adds a little layer of dimension. It's just little things like that. And adding these brown into the steps, this adds dimension. Let's put some more in. And if I don't like it, well, I can just paint right over it. But the thing is, when you get and you're doing this, you'll have that color ready, so if you do make a mistake, you can go back and forth. But over time, you just don't need to as much. Oops, I always feel like that's not enough water. There's not enough water, man. So we come across here. Okay, and just bring it in. And then we can just wipe off the excess too. See, that really adds some depth and grit to this picture. Okay. Go across there, just adding the color. You can even add it to the water. In fact, you can just take the water and put the water down like that. Look at how the water really sucked up that dirt, the brown. That is nice. That's what we like. And then I could add the color into it. See? It really just grabs that color and it puts it away. It puts it into the edges. If I'm worried about it, I can wipe off the outer edge and I know it'll stay in the inner edges, the inside parts. I hope that makes sense. Just because you have a gift to do art doesn't mean you have a gift of gab. That's something you have to worry about. Plus, if you're weird and have a weird gift to gab, then it's even harder. All right. Time trap. Time trap. Whenever I watch Time Trap, it's always time trap. Time trap. You gotta like, and if you know what I'm talking about, if you watch Time Trap, you know it's the craziest movie. You're like, what is this B movie crap? And you're like, what? This is interesting. And then that one scene of the Spanish conquistadors fighting with the natives in the fountain of water. Spoiler alert. That was pretty dang cool. That imagery makes me want to paint it. Like, paint that. All right. So as we go up, you can see we want age because everything is really crappy and old in the picture. So we definitely want to keep doing that function. Another couple things I thought about doing is taking some Hot Wheel cars and smashing them up too, so they look wrecked, and to actually make cars or anything look rusty. Burnt sienna, bright orange. Here we go. Burnt sienna, bright orange, and a little bit of tangerine. These will make a nice rust for you. And let's take a look at those and do a little mini example of what we can do with rust. Now, sometimes I'll take this dark brown too. We'll just take the dark brown too. He can be added into our paints. Hello, Nasser. I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you doing today? Let's take a car that I have and let's just do this section here. All right, so the deep parts are going to have the brown. You can cover it all. It's not going to be a big deal. Okay, so we got the brown. Now, the brown is grit, but now the burnt sienna, that's the rust. And you see it just patted on there. You see how already, like, how good that is, right? Okay, example. Now, let's go to those oranges. Oh, I'm gonna dump my sand all over. Now the sand, because it's not the right color, I can paint it. Put a wash over it. Now with the orange, we got too much. This is the bright orange. That will go into the middle of all those spots. See, a little less every time, right? You see how that really is starting to come together? And if you just keep messing with it, it'll be fine. Now the lightest orange, that is going to add that bite. And what you want to do is cartoon realism. That's what I call is you want to make this stronger than it would be in real life because you have to look at it in miniature. So don't be afraid to go back through and do it stronger and more as you go, because sometimes you have to paint, these have to dry, and I'm not letting it dry. Okay, so you see how we got some of that? All right, and then, oh, we don't like that. Well, too bad. We can just come back in with this brown again, and we can come around. And don't be afraid to let your paint pull up either, because that will add that dimensional effect to that rust. So again, let's just do the rust effect right here. You can just tap if your finger with a towel, whatever, okay? I hope this looks good. I'm just looking at it from the side here. And then, of course, that burnt sienna comes in. That burnt sienna gives us our first base of rust. That says we've got rust. Here, dry it with the light up above. Okay. Add those little elements. Make sure that you know where rust lives, too. Rust lives in the quarter panels and around the water is going to be. It doesn't usually live up here, but our car is old. Our car's been sitting here a really long time. They don't like to make cab overs much more these days in here. So now we're going with the bright orange because we did that. And bright orange, we're just, oops. I like to do more of a dry brush with it so it's more spread out. shirt there. Let's go up the door panels. There's always some rust up in here. There's rust anywhere. There's rust anywhere water could sit. Beep, beep. Okay, now, and like I said, go back and forth, those browns and those burnt siennas. And then last, I'm going to put that, what is it, tangerine on. And that will give us the most rusty rust. And then put that tangerine in. That's more of a highlight. That's more of that cartoon effect. It really brings it out. And you just keep doing this, you'll eventually get the look you want. Okay, so that's an example of just using these paints here. Now, burnt sienna, I use it for everything. If there was a paint to buy, it'd be this. Well, hello, Saudi Arabia. Thank you so much. I am making from Dusk Till Dawn Diorama. So yeah, this is really good. This is the stuff I use for everything. But then we got the brown, the tangerine, and the bright orange, which will really help you make rust. So that was my little rust TED Talk for you today. Yeah, just study stuff. I mean, you can just go outside and look at stuff and see, knowing where rust goes. If you don't live in a rusty zone, you don't have to put rust on your stuff, but you want to add grit. And adding grit is another thing to do. Let's talk about grit. Let's add grit to this truck, and you'll see what I mean. I bought this larger black paint, but it's not easy to pour out. Just put a little, oops, I have my little thing here. Okay, so grit is everyday living. It's everyday dirt. Right? There's no shiny stuff in real world. It's all dirty. You see this truck going down the road, isn't all brand new looking. And that's why I'm adding this black. This will be the grit. You want to put it every edge. Put it even on your windows. Put it there. Grit. Dirt. That's right. See? You see how much more realistic it's looking? Cartoon realistic, I call it. We want to add a little clean spot. We'll just wipe it away. Let it dry. It'll still wipe away because it's metal and acrylic on metal. It's not going to, it's going to stay. But if you played with this, it'll rub off. So, burnt sienna, use that shit on everything? Yes, exactly, Tom. I used burnt sienna on everything during COVID, man. That stuff was the hardest to find. All right, so that's just adding grit to your stuff. Oh, by the way, Tom, I noticed you haven't put any new videos out in a while, and you best be getting back on doing it. Best be making more videos again. You had quite a bit of people commenting on your videos. You had a really good thing, and then you stopped for a while. You gotta get back. Get back. All right. You can really see how this grit, it's just watered down black. If people knew how little effort it takes to make something look old, they would do more of that, right? Yeah, little things like that. Okay, so we have really aged that vehicle quite a bit. Not be afraid of it. And then you don't like something, what? It comes right off. So that's an example of aging something. Just adding little things to it. This is the Tipper Matchbox Series number 41. Made in England. Pretty cool. I always say if it has a metal bottom, it's worth picking up. It's worth picking up any of them. Yeah, look at the difference already. That looks awesome from here. See, that's the thing is you also have to realize when you're looking at your art piece, you're not this close to the art piece. You're usually here. You know, I mean, some people might come up to here, but honestly, people look at stuff from far away. I will also use this black method in here. Sparingly, though. we want just enough depth and dirt, and I broke the stairs here. But since we have a huge break up here in the top section, I think it's okay, and I might as well bring that out, embellish that break. Okay, there we go. Look at that. That is looking so much better. Let's take a zip in, and you can see what I'm talking about. Whoa, there we go. I'm looking, okay. So you can see here, gotta add that. You have to add that grit. You gotta add that dirt. See, it really makes a difference. And as long as you have your base coat on, you can really mess around with stuff quite a bit. The base coat helps you. I always say once you get to a certain part of the painting, everything is really easy to do because you already have all the paint on, so you can really change the colors and a lot of things, but it's getting that built up layers underneath that's really what helps. Now I see here we don't want to have, you can see like the area here, we don't want that. We want to take those out. There we go. That adds to the unevenness. See here, Tom has got 2 dioramas waiting. Go inspire. Yeah, awesome. That's so cool. That's so cool. I should have been an architect, but now that I realize they don't make much money unless they're like the most famous architect, then I'm glad I'm not. I also should have been an engineer, but once again, it sounds like that I probably would have had a problem. But I do hear the problems that people have. Yeah, but that's awesome. I can't wait to look. I'll go look and see what you're doing. Have you posted videos of it and stuff? I just noticed when I sent you that message a while ago, you hadn't had a video in a while, so I was wondering, or a post, I should say, a post. All right, little things. Oh, I do need to do one more thing real quick. At the beginning of the show, I started. Before I started, I put some joint compound right here to fill in those 2 tiny holes that I had. Hold on. I've already used half of this paint. I'm kind of depressed about it. Let's zip out. Zip out! Wait, nope. Is there a way to zip out? Okay. Okay, get that. The problem with this paint is that it is so black, you can't tell if you smoothed it out or not. So, you know how you don't want to have any lines of your paint ridges sticking up and drying funny? I can't even tell if I did that because it's so black. So I just have to do this over and over again until I figure it out. There we go. Okay. Back here. Let's get back in here. If I go into the sand zone, it's okay because the sand will cover that black. Now, I talked about how my sand wasn't the right color and what I should do about it. Well, what I can do about it is I can just do a little test area, put this sand out, let it dry, and then throw paint on it. Or like I've watered down this other paint, do water down more of a red wash across it and really see if that makes a difference. Because I'm telling you, this is not going to work. But I got to make it. So let me just get a piece out now, and let's just go ahead and do a example. So I just got some of that cardstock again from my DC, and I'm going to put glue. What I'm going to do with this is a watered down Mod Podge when I put my sand on, and that will use less glue and cover better. See how thick this is? Yeah. Okay, so when I glue, I usually do this. I press it in, and then I shake off. The second thing I would do next, after I did that, is I would make a watered down glue, and I would put it on here. So this was all wet. I use a little eyedropper. Sprayers are great, but they never last for me. They always break. So I use a little eyedropper, and then that would soak up with the glue water mixture, and that would seal everything in. It would be hard as a rock if I did that. Nothing would come off. And then, but when I do that, then I will sprinkle more sand on top of that wet to suck in any more moisture. And it really makes a difference too. It gives you layers of strength. So when this dries, what I'm going to do is water down a little bit of my burnt sienna. Maybe I'll mix it with something else. Maybe I'll even try something else. I don't know. And put that on there and see what it looks like. So we'll give that a couple hours. Actually, probably to seal the tops to get the best effect. To do that, let's do it real quick. So since we're all here together, we're all hanging out together. Where's none of my little containers? Threw them all out. We'll get one out of the garbage from yesterday. I usually reuse, but this one I didn't. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of the glue in there. I'm going to put a little bit of my drinking water in there. Boop. That's too much. That's okay. I've got another little thing over here. And we need a stick to mix it. Now I'm just doing this for television purposes, but it would be better if I just got the Mod Podge. Now Mod Podge comes in matte and then shiny. I like to use that matte because my dirt does not get shiny. My dirt is, unless it's wet, unless you're doing a World War scene out in a wet area, then that's perfect. All right, let's just say that's watered down more, okay? We're just gonna say it is. I'm gonna put that up here like this. And then what I'll do is with my water dropper is I'll just dump it on there. Okay, so you see how dark it's getting? Okay, that's important to know because when you seal it, it will stay this dark. It doesn't get lighter. That is why I then add another layer of sand over that. So when I seal this in with my glue, then I will quickly, before it dries, I'll sprinkle sand onto that. And what that does is it gives you a dimension of the darker underneath and the lighter on top. Yeah, so that's an example. I did good with that example. Yeah, you did. All right, where we are at 52 minutes. Whew, that's a lot of talking. All right, let's get those put away. Let's go back over here to this little edge piece and let's bend that real quick since I have to do this. So when I'm doing these projects, sometimes I get like artist depressed. I say artist depressed because that's a common thing for artists, I'm sure. And so if I look at it as tiny baby steps, I'm able to defeat these goals. I can do them one at a time, get them out of the way, no problem. But if I look at this as a whole, it just seems like impossible, like it can never be done. But if I put these tiny little steps in front of me, then it makes much more sense. So just think about that when you're working. Think about the tiny steps and doing those, because then you don't feel anxious about completing the project in a certain amount of time. When you do enough of these over time, you have projects where you will be a little bit more chillax on, not as quick on, and that's okay because that you're learning things. So all right, we did that part. We let that chill, and I'll try that later and see what we do. We've aged a vehicle. That's awesome. We had to paint like 50 of the vehicles for the car cave. That one I did. The exploring with Josh on here, he goes and visits all kinds of places. Well, he went to Norway and visited this cave with a bunch of cars in there, and I recreated that diorama, and it's so cool. I love it. Where's that other little piece that I cut out? There we go. And so I had to use a bunch of N and Z scale cars for that, and I had to paint them all to look rusty. So that was how I came up with these methods. And they work pretty well for lots of things. All right, I'm just going to sand this inner area here. Go across. Yeah, I put my live yesterday to private because I trash talked the Eagles in my live and I felt bad about it, so I decided I would just put it to private. I was just talking yesterday about how like they keep their their album catalog from other people using it, from stealing it. You know, pretty well protected for copyright. But with doing that, their music isn't heard as much, and that happens is they'll just dissolve away because they've always had issues. And I feel that's sad that that's happening in the world. Can't share the music. All right. There's a song that I always make fun of. It's I heard that well, I'm already gone. It's that song. If you listen to the whole lyrics, she left before he did. She was gone first. So his song makes no sense at the end. That was my little tiff about that song. So if you listen to lyrics of songs and you're like, oh man, this is not what I was anticipating. All right, another little piece here, but this one looks too tiny. Yeah, that's too small. Throw that in the garbage. All right, now next one, I'm gonna have to bend this one too. It's already bent, but because it's so thick, it won't stay. And then there's another piece behind it, I see. That's all right. We can just rip that out, see? The little piece sticking out here, I can just rip that out. It's okay. It's okay. And even some of these have broken. There's one of these are broken, it's crooked. It's okay. I can put another piece in and replace it. These are just the tiniest little nothings. All right, next piece, here we go. I'm gonna take this, take my little bone thingamabobber. I'm sure there's bone folder. And I'm gonna do all the sides of that. Yeah, now I wanna say that, yes, you can pull the front and the backs off of each other from this type of stuff. You could pull that off. Okay, you could pull that off and use that. But you know, you still might have to sand that because that's really fuzzy now. So these are just some little examples of things that you might want to do. Whereas, you know, you've got this other stuff on here, it gives it a little bit more stable. You just have to sand this stuff so that it will glue. So that's just some of the things there. It's random. I don't know if that'll help you in your world, but there you go. All right, I have to make sure the top is even every time. Top even. And then over here. So I watched my gym bros today, and she said, work smarter, not harder. So I was like, oh, I've been doing it wrong the entire time. Dang it. Now I have to go back and try again. So if you're interested in any coloring books, I sell them on my website, boxyqueens.com. And I'm supposed to promote those, and I did not. I'm not good at self-promotion, but at the same time that they want that I put them out, all the social medias changed their user agreements so that you can't just now promote yourself anymore. You used to be able to promote yourself right and left. Now, no. They just want you to sell other products, not your own. But if you're interested in a coloring book, I do have one. I have made a coloring book. And I have my bone necklaces. I should put more stuff out, but honestly, I really need either to figure out someone to hire to help me out or just end up having a large show. I was going to have a large show, but the times aren't good for a large show. That's pretty much why I've been building this in giant catalog of art is I was going to have a show in Everett, do a big show, or maybe Seattle or something. I guess I should have thought Seattle instead of Everett, but Everett has a nice art community. The Seattle art community really died when they demolished one of their buildings there, and everybody was going there, and that was many years ago. They've changed hands, and it's hard to get into the art community too. They're like all communities. They're very particular who they want into their community. And I am an outsider artist. I've always been an outsider artist. That's just someone who just kind of does art outside of everybody else's function, I guess. There's more description to it than that. But that's pretty much, I've always been more of an outsider artist. I have friends that do shows all over. They all do all kinds of stuff like that. It's just not my... And plus, I never do the same art, so it's not like you can go see a show at Tammy Walker and expect to see a bunch of one thing. It's not. It's going to be something probably different. I always joke around and say, I hope I don't get famous off of this piece of art. Just, I would be embarrassed. I hope this isn't my masterpiece that they remember me by. All right, we did it. We did an hour. When is my opening ceremonies for my home Olympics? It'll be Saturday. Have several categories picked out for my home Olympics here at the house. Let's see. I wrote stuff down, but do you think I can ever find it again? Heck no! That's why I keep them in these books. We're going to do the motorcycle weave. So we'll weave through the cones. Where is it? Then we're gonna do blow dart. I got a blow dart gun. We're gonna do blow dart, the whip, and the slingshot. And then we're going to maybe basketball, ping pong, and there was another sport I wrote down. So there's 9, I think we're going to have 9 events for my home Olympics. So yeah, I'm excited about it. And then end with karaoke for the day. I think that would be best. Karaoke has really actually helped me out quite a bit. I feel like a weak voice sometimes, and I can't sing very good. But once I started doing karaoke, it really started to strengthen up my voice and my throat. And I was able to actually start singing. Actually, I could probably sing 1 or 2 songs pretty well. In a Garden de Vida. No, I'm just kidding. That's my point. That's the humor that people live with around me all the time to have to deal with. So thank you guys so much for joining. I had a great 1 hour. Maybe I'll save this video on there. I did trash talk the Eagles again, didn't I? All right. Have a great one. I'll see you next Monday at 11:30 Pacific Standard Time. Monday. Thanks for watching.